Hello, this is Di Antinatalist, and I have a second birthday message today, and it is somewhat planned out, and I'm going to go over a couple of topics, and they are topics which are a little bit unique. They're kind of creative, actually, and they are examples of things in my life that have greatly impacted me. And these ladies seem to be perturbed with these birds. I don't know what's going on. She went over there and like faced off the pigeons, and she's done it twice. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to go through two examples of how things in life have impacted me. And I think that we cannot control our destiny. In fact, you can't control what happens to you. You can't make the best of things because you can't control what's going to happen next. You can't control, a mass shooter or a sudden stroke or bird poop falling on your head or a virus. So life is very unpredictable, and you can't control your destiny, and some things about your life are just your burden, your cross to bear. Oh, great. Now they scared the birds off. Oh my God. Oh my. This is going to be a hell of a video. What's up with a seagull there? It's like squawking. But anyway, we cannot control what happens to us, and neither can we control the particular path that's just, forced upon us. And I have a couple of crosses to bear, which I am going to go over. And then I have written a little excerpt, some things I've just jotted down in my hotel room. And, they'll kind of flow with the whole story. So it's not technically rambling, but, I think it'll be a creative talk today. But really quickly, I'm going to go around. I'm going to take a quick video of the cathedral. And I'm in Montreal, and I'm downtown, and this is a little park. And so this is I'm staying at that hotel. And this is the cathedral. And my window actually looks sideways to the cathedral, and it has a beautiful view. I mean, I have a wonderful room, and it wasn't really planned to stay in such a good room, but it happened, and it's really nice. So this is Montreal, Canada. And another interesting thing about the hotel is that in room 1742, which is exactly 2 stories up from mine, was where John Lennon and Yoko Ono had a sit-in or sleep-in many, many years ago. And the hotel has commemorized both of them with their poetry and their quotes in the foyer and near the elevators. And as you can see, the peace sign over there, Queen Elizabeth. And apparently Queen Elizabeth did stay in this hotel, I think 40 or 50 years ago. So that's why it was named after her. But anyway, so I think the story goes that there was a sleep-in or a sit-in from John and Yoko, and they couldn't make it to America or something, and they had to stay in Canada, so they stayed at this hotel. Now it looks like some kind of veterans monument, so I'm not really into that kind of thing. I'm more into nature, and unfortunately these women have decided to have a little class out here, unbeknownst to me before I started this video. But anyway, look at the birdhouses up there. Isn't that cool? I really like that. I don't think I've been into a public park with, you know, birdhouses, which is a great idea. And I'm sure they take them down in the fall because it gets very cold in Montreal. Cold and windy. It's very comfortable out here right now also. So let me find a spot here. I'm going to try to get out of their way. Okay. So anyway, here's my talk. Okay. First of all, a couple of things that have impacted my life, other than genetics and viruses and illnesses and inherited things and nature or nurture. I have been the victim of pathological and toxic envy, and this goes back to, I would say, 11 years old, maybe even younger, and it came specifically through women. I believe it probably even happened before that, because I believe my mom was a very envious person to the point of harming me. But anyway, there was many school bullies. They were always female, and they seemed just spitefully envious of anything you had. Whether it was a pair of shoes or whether it was a nice hairstyle or a nice dress, they seemed to persecute me for having something or going somewhere or living in the neighborhood that I was in or whatever. And so I know it started with my mom, and I know that she was jealous of me, jealous of my nature, if you will, my personality. She didn't like me. It was clear. She was no fan of mine, and I wasn't who she wanted. I wasn't, the church-going, choir-singing, baby-making, passive little, follower. And I didn't, adopt her religion or her politics. And so it was clear that I got shunned as a result of that, and shunned as in she tried to control me by ostracizing me if I did not go along with her, or if I did not eat what she wanted or do what she wanted. There were consequences for me. So by standing my ground and being who I was, I did not get favor from her. Whereas my brother, on the other hand, did get favor, and he kissed a lot of ass, and he went along with things, and he did things that weren't true to what he wanted, but that he wanted favor. And that is a big difference between me and my brother. That He did everything to get favor, and he was a fence rider. He was an extreme fence rider, and I wasn't. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples of ways in which I was bullied or, ostracized from other women. These glasses keep slipping, So anyway, when I was a young adult and I worked at a hair salon, and some of the girls became really, really jealous, and so jealous that whenever it was paycheck time, and people know what each other made, and they compared notes, and everybody knew that I worked harder, I sold more products, I took on more clients, I worked longer hours, but yet when it came paycheck time, there was a lot of noses in the air and resentfulness and bitterness, pettiness. And one time I had been given, I had boyfriends that were, well educated and, bright men and men with futures, and they didn't. And that seemed to really provoke and set off a lot of the girls. And some of the guys would come to the business, to the place of business, and they would talk to me or they would bring me a gift. And one time I got a small gift or a large gift or whatever the case may be, and they would just literally all of a sudden turn away or ignore me or be very indifferent or not even acknowledge the gift. I remember there was a picture, and I really, really like long hair. It's like kind of an infatuation of mine. And a boyfriend brought me a picture of a neon colored long haired girl or whatever. And it would be natural to say, oh, that's a really cool picture that John brought you. That's really cool. I like that. But the people who would normally talk to me or be conversive would just all of a sudden shut down, just, clam up. And that's called withholding. And that's an emotional abuse tactic. I get it. And I knew back then that, I was something that they either wanted to be or something that they resented because they couldn't be like me. And the way I looked at things my whole life, and I thought, if you are not the way you want to be, or if you want to do something, or if you want to make changes, or if you want to be like somebody, change yourself, change your course. Gosh, lose 10 or 20 pounds, change your hair, go out and do things, be outgoing, take a step forward, be assertive, be proactive. Don't sit around and, resent and be jealous and envy other people. That's just going to suck your energy up. So, that's some toxic envy there. But let me get to another situation, and to this day, it really haunts me how hateful that some women were over the years to me. And so anyway, this is my second hair cutting job, and it was a place in Durham, North Carolina. And I liked everybody. I liked all my coworkers. I loved my job. I loved my customers. And there was one girl I worked with, and she had a cousin, and the cousin came in. Now, let me describe what I was wearing. It was a below the knee long dress. It wasn't a maxi dress, but It was a long dress, and it was off-white, a beautiful off-white color, like biscuit color, and it had long sleeves. It came up to the neck. It had buttons up to the neck. It had no skin showing whatsoever. Now, I carried it off really well. I looked really good in the dress. The dress was very classy. It was a very sophisticated dress, and I didn't pay a lot for it. Back then, of course, I didn't have much money, but I just looked particularly good in the dress. And so I was cutting hair, and I had no idea what was going on behind me or what was being said. But the girl that I worked with had a cousin, and she was already a mother. So in Durham, North Carolina, in the 80s, a lot of girls had babies in their early 20s or mid 20s. Well, not me. And I always thought that it was very unsophisticated to have children at a young age, much less have them at all. I mean, it's not sophisticated to bear young or to be an incubator. But anyway, this woman, was probably my age, but we looked years apart and acted apart in sophistication and, intelligence, intellect, education, what have you. And so I was, cutting a woman's hair, and then after my customer left, my coworker came up to me and she said, Diane, she says, you know what my cousin said about you? Oh, I'm scratching now. Oh, bugs, flies land on you. And she says, you know what my cousin said about you? She said, quote, you looked so good in that dress that she wanted to pick up a pair of my scissors and stab me in the back with them. I was horrified. I was just frozen. And I did not grow up with such anger, jealousy, resentment, and intolerance. And although I did have bullies in junior high and mostly junior high, and they were just mean-spirited. I mean, just stomp on your feet out of nowhere. And those girls back then, they didn't make it to high school graduation. I don't know what happened to them, whether they got pregnant or entered the military or just gave up on life or got expelled from school. But those were the dregs. The bullies in middle school were absolutely the losers. So when my coworker told me that her cousin said that, I was just really, really hurt. I was so disappointed that somebody would want to take something from me because I had something that they wanted, or because I looked good, or because I wore a nice dress, or because I worked and made money to buy nice things. I am still horrified to this day of people who have pathologic and toxic jealousy, because that's harmful, folks. That's how wars are started. That's how people will sabotage your happiness. That's somebody who doesn't want to earn what they have or earn what they can get in life. That's somebody who wants to take away from you, steal from you, in order to get themselves placed ahead in life. Now, the other thing I want to discuss that has greatly impacted me has been birth order. And so birth order has been seriously impactful. I was the oldest girl of a natural brother. I do have a half brother, but he was born when I was 17, so he didn't impact my life. And I also have steps and stepsister and stepbrother, but they didn't impact my life because they came along, very, very late in my teen years. But the fact that I was the oldest of a brother, and that was often a sickly brother, meant I was on my own. And being a girl, I did not get the privileges of being firstborn. No, I was not even allowed to drive. My brother was allowed to drive before I was. Drive in the yard, drive around the house. So no, I had to actually go through driver's ed and, get my license before I was allowed to take the family car out. And my brother was in the hospital a lot for just minor things, this, that, and the other. He was accident prone and trips to the ER. He had a hernia, and then he had a hemorrhage. And, he was very taxing on my parents, and he vomited, or when he was sick, he had allergies, he had asthma. So when he was sick, I remember him vomiting on the carpet a lot. So then my dad would have to take out, the carpet vacuum cleaner, carpet cleaner machine. And so a lot of energy that could have been spent with Diane antinatalist, was not spent on her. It was spent on her younger brother. And a little bit of background about him. We are polar opposites. We just had almost no connection, after we were maybe 5 or 6. No connection whatsoever. And it really sabotaged us. We should never have been in the same family. We should never have been siblings, because it was just a toxic relationship. Now, my brother, he has a couple of traits that I do not appreciate and I cannot tolerate. He is very stingy. He is very selfish. He is very ungiving and greedy. He is one of the greediest people that I have ever known. And I would take him out with some of my friends. He didn't have any friends. I had several friends, many friends in high school and all through school, and best friends, and he just seemed to tag along. And then I remember when we got older, he would go out with us, and he was kind of a money hoarder. Like, he would put his money, his savings, into the bank, into CDs and that kind of thing. Whereas I spent my money and shared my money. So we would go out with friends, and he wouldn't order anything. He would just sit at a bar, an empty bar or an empty restaurant. And then my friends would go, hey, Scott, why aren't you ordering something? And he would say, I don't have any money. That poor, pathetic, pitiful me, crying the money blues bullshit. But I knew the real story is that he put it in the bank so he wouldn't spend it. And then when he was out with people, or when he was even out with family, he would cry the money blues, and they would help him out or buy him a sandwich or some food. And I remember my paternal grandfather, he was very generous with us continuously. And at one point he asked my brother to put some gas in the car because they were going on a little ride or something. And my brother immediately asked for money. And this is the most generous person in our lives, because our parents really let us down financially. So my brother was so greedy with my grandfather, my beloved grandfather. And, before my grandfather died, he told me, he says, your little brother, he goes, he's just not worth shit. Well, I don't think he said shit, but he says, he's not worth anything. And he said it to me, and I knew exactly what he meant. My brother is the kind of person who would take the shirt off your back. And I'm the kind of person who would give the shirt off my back. So there was contention, animosity, and no appreciation. And my brother was the eternal fence rider. And, he would play both sides of a relationship. Like, whenever he was with so-and-so, he was, all into them. He was their best friend. He was very agreeable. Whereas, I shared my feelings more, or if I wasn't true to somebody, I'm not going to fake it. But he was a fence rider, and my dad knew that. And in fact, my dad once criticized him as being a fence rider, and that he couldn't really trust Scott, and that Scott was one to hold back in order to get favor. Now, that is a trait of the last born, of the baby of the family. They want favor, and they get favor. So being the oldest has been very, very detrimental to me, and all through life I've felt like I was the one who provided gas for the friend who ran out of gas. I was the one who was always there for people, but they were never there for me. I was the responsible person, and I always was expected a lot of. Now, I have heard the oldest are typically more erudite, they're more communicative, more pictures were taken of the oldest child, and they were actually tutored by their parents as opposed to siblings. So there might be some evidence that the oldest is more intelligent and more verbal, and they actually know more words. However, the burdens of the firstborn are not to be dismissed, and it is not a choice position. If I had a choice position, it would probably be like my brother's. It would be a baby boy, a younger boy, a few years younger than a sister, or an only child. I think is a great position to be in, or even better, the youngest child in a family where your oldest is about 16 to 18 years older than you. So your parents played guinea pig on your older sibling. So by the time you came along, you had it made in the shade. Your parents knew what to do. They were more educated. They were more mature. They were older. But you don't have to live with that sibling. The world is your oyster. So having a sibling that's much older than you is a premium position, as is being the only child. Now, I know the only children tend to be lonely, the only lonely. So I've done a lot of reading with birth order. I think the author's name is Ken Coach or something. But I'm very interested in birth order, and it has really, really shaped my existence. And so with every generation and with every person, and even if you were to live your life over again, your birth order would be different. Your cross to bear would be different. And my cross to bear was the envy that continues to this day. And I won't go into other things, but at one point I had some lawn displays, and I put a lot of effort into them. They were Christmas displays, and they were vandalized and they were stolen. And I chalked that up to pathologic envy. And I believe that local teenagers had done that. I believe their parents maybe they didn't like me having the life I live, or the car that I drive, or the freedom, or, you know, maybe they didn't like the fact that, you know, I've done really well for my dogs and I'm a great dog trainer, and I've worked hard towards fostering and obedience training. I mean, I don't even know what people envy about me. Some have told me that I'm very youthful and I have a spirit like no other, and a free spirit. I've been called a free spirit, but I'm not a good judge of myself. I'm a judge of my traits. But the way I look at it is everybody can go out and get those traits, or, you know, grab something else in this life for yourself. If you're not outgoing or take initiative, or if you're not bold enough to sit in a park and do a YouTube video, for instance, you know, learn a sport. I mean, go paddle boarding, or, you know, go back to roller skating or inline skating, or, you know, take some beginner piano classes or some beginner art classes, or, you know, your YMCA has some lessons, or go to a swim class, a swim aerobics. Just find a niche for yourself. Don't try to take away from others. It's truly evil to think that by hurting other people or taking away from them or bullying them will help you or advance you, because it won't. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna discontinue this video now and start up maybe later on with the third half, because this has gone on long enough. So 31 minutes. So anyway, to wrap this up, some things that have been in my past, present, and will be in my future, is the destiny of attracting envy, hate, jealousy, resentment. And I believe my mom was just the beginning of that course. And my birth order of being the oldest also predetermined my destiny, because I pick up people's slack and I enable people. Oh yeah, I remember one time my younger brother, we were really little, and I was barely able to reach the faucet, and he would not communicate. In fact, he was, you know, kind of reluctant to communicate. So he used nonverbal communication, or, you know, passive communication. And he was also a passive aggressive, hostile kind of person. So he would stand with a cup at the sink and he wouldn't say anything. Just like at the bar, he wouldn't order anything. He's just waiting for someone to buy him a drink or a sandwich. So he stood there at the sink, and I automatically knew what he wanted. Being the empath, I detected his need, want for water. So I climbed up and poured him a glass of water. Now, that is an enabling tactic, because it didn't require him to communicate. So I'm sure all throughout his life, he has met people like me who will enable him and take initiative, pay the bill, bring the gas can to his empty tank, and that sort of thing. But being a firstborn has been a burden. And, you know, I like taking the initiative. I like the one being respected for being motivated and taking the initiative. But I don't like all of the burden on me, and I don't like being the initiator. It gets really old. You know, I'm the one who presents a gift, or who presents a card, or, you know, initiates a Facebook group, or initiates action, or proactiveness, or protest, or that sort of thing. I initiate activism, but I'm really sick of it. I'm tired of it. I want help. I want somebody else to pick up where I left off. Another thing that I've done in the neighborhood, I had initiated a paint project, as well as a flower and mulch, annual cleanup. And it got to a point where I did it all by myself. People were grateful. I mean, I had several people come up to me and say, "We really like the fact that you do this. Can we give you some money, or can I pay you for the mulch?" and blah blah blah. But the great majority of the people are slack and apathetic, and it disgusts me to no end. So there were neighbors who would watch me drive right past me, doing all the hard work, lifting the bags of mulch, plucking the flowers out, trimming the weeds, getting stung by ants or whatever. And they didn't give it a second thought. They were greedy and selfish and stingy, and those are traits that I do not tolerate. And I'm very judgmental in that respect. That is truly a behavior that is reprehensible, and that is aberrant, very aberrant to me. I think that we are in this life to support other people, help other people, and hold another person's hand. Don't let them do all the work. And it would behoove me to see somebody complete a neighborhood project by themselves and not lend a hand or offer money or give praise, but literally my efforts went greatly underappreciated and unappreciated by the majority. I am forever disgusted with humanity. And call me a misanthrope, but you know what? I have earned the ability to be a misanthrope because of my destiny and because of what I inherited as a result of my cross to bear, and as a result of my family dynamics and birth order. So thank you for watching my video on my 58th birthday in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And it's a beautiful country, and I want to give a shout out to my Canadian friends, Rowan, who also has a birthday today. Rowan Prey, you have a birthday today. bless your young heart. And Kathy O'Brien, who also, I think she's in Toronto. But anyway, I have several Canadian friends. I've just never met up with them, and the situation just didn't arrive to, hook up. So, thank you for watching my video. And this is a very, very long one, so I hope it's going to download before tonight. And I think I'll, go have some Italian food. So anyway, I got my hair done today because I broke my arm, and it's been really difficult doing my hair. I can't use my right arm at all. So I had it braided, and she did a really nice job, huh? It just exposes all my gray hairs. All the gray hairs are sticking up. They look really, really, really awful. But the hairdresser did a great job. Let me show you the back. I don't know, can you see that? I don't know if that's in focus, but It's really cool. I like having my hair braided, and it's simple and easy, and it's easy to wash and clean. So yeah, I've enjoyed talking to you guys, and you guys mean a lot to me. You know, you share a lot of things that give me content for my channel. So you actually direct me in the path that I should be going, and some of you temper me and you know, give me constructive criticism, or you know, positive feedback, or you know, you give me a lot of ideas, and I really, really appreciate that. So you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you watching, right? So please share my videos, and click on the bell icon. If you click the little bell at the bottom of the video, and then you'll get announcements when I post a new video. And also, if you share if you share the videos, and if you like and subscribe, yeah, please do that. So anyway, thank you for watching this far. And yeah, it's really nice out here, and I really like the peacefulness of nature. And it seems like other people like me are also like maybe solitary. See, if you look around, the people that are enjoying the park, they're not loud people, they're not bar people, and they're not happy hour people. Like that man over there, he's drawing, and she's on, you know, she's on Bluetooth, and so is he. And this guy over there, he's texting, or he's on the internet. So I really like solitary people. I like quiet people. Yeah, I like families that are quiet and who appreciate nature, and I like senior citizens, and you know, that sort. So I think that's probably who my viewers are: the solitary hermit types, possibly the loners, possibly the intellectuals or the nerds. But yeah, I owe it all to you. I make these videos for you. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you already haven't.